one thing you have to understand about both Scott and I, we're very direct in our answers. Hope we don't offend you, but that's just the way we are. It's the way we're built.
What is up, guys? It is Scott. And guess what, Kenny? We're back!
We're back, baby!
We are
Fishes!
Don't adjust your television. What you're seeing is real. The fish heads are back. Now drop what you're doing and get ready for the show. It's going to be a great one.
Ask you this, man.
Yep.
What got you to come back, man? All I know is I'm excited. You're back.
Well, it was amazing to see a lot of really positive comments about things that my channel had done for other hobbyists. That meant a lot. I hate to feel like that I need that all the time, but I needed that at the time,
Brother, I can't believe you're shocked because people actually gain something from your knowledge. That's the part that cracks me up, dude. You're all modest and stuff. Yeah, it just felt kind of good that people needed me or needed my. Yeah, dude. How many times? I mean, honest, how many times have I personally, not even on a stream, but came to you and say, Scott, listen, I got this, and this happening. You help people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, I mean something.
And then that guy, Rick, came over. I don't know if you saw my last video where he picked up the RTMs, the Red Tiger Motos.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was so nice and so good for my soul, man. Just talking to someone and just hearing them say, he learned a lot from watching the videos. It just, it made me feel really good. And YouTube for a while hadn't made me feel great for a lot of different reasons that we won't get into, but it just made me feel like, hey, I was making a difference, and I want to be back, and I want to continue to do this on my own terms, and that's the biggest challenge for me, is that to be successful at YouTube, I think you have to have, a platform where you're putting out videos and content all the time because viewers expect that, and that's the way you grow. And I don't think I can, kudos to all those people who can do that. I don't think I can do that, not with my schedule and everything else. I'm trying to do,
I feel for you, brother. I just got done doing that 100-day commitment, where I did that top 100. I mean,
what up, fish people? Kenny E with Danica Aquatics. Well, moving right along in the top 100, we got the number 52 on the Danica Aquatics top 100. And that is the Venustus.
I mean, it's a commitment, dude. And guys, I will tell you right now, don't even get close to the edited videos that this guy does. I mean, mine's is I shoot them for you. I narrate it while we're shooting. I hit upload. I put the date and all that, and I'm done. But Scott, man, makes it a production. As you remember with the fish heads, we have quite the production over there.
And that's my biggest problem, I think, and that's probably why Liz hasn't hanging around as much as she used to. I'm terrible when it comes to everything's got to be just right for me, and that can drive people insane. I mean,
doesn't drive me nuts. I love the finished product. I'm like, it makes me giggle. That's what you want, man. I mean, you do what you do. I think it's that photography angle you have and I think that's the uniqueness that you bring to YouTube. You see every angle for what it is,
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an art what you do. I wish I had the ability myself, but I don't. So
hey, but wait a minute. While we're talking about photography, you promised this year you were going to put some photos into the OCA Extravaganza photo contest that's coming up in November. So you better get to clicking because you promised us. Remember that?
Right. I'm a man of my word.
You know what the other thing was, besides people saying what a great thing I've done for them to get them in the hobby and stuff, the other thing I heard a lot was fish heads. I did not realize so many people was watching and enjoying fish heads until we stopped doing it. I think we stopped at episode 4 or something. And it was just, everybody I talked to, they were like, well, if you come back, you're going to do fish heads. That's like the second question I always got. After, are you coming back? The second one was, are you going to do fish heads? So I think we got something really successful.
But brother, I got to tell you, I miss fish heads. I mean, like I said, if you ever been to a Daniken stream, you know, we get a couple of fishy questions. I mean, this is so amazing for my soul to be able to say, hey, I know a little something about fish, guys. Really, I do, you know?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. So, because I don't want any gossip, I don't want any drama, I don't want anything bad things. I personally, I take responsibility for it. Have decided to kind of reformat our fish heads where it's just you and I, and then occasionally we'll have a guest in. I did talk to Chris from Multi-Tank Addictions. He supported us 100%. He's good with it. I'm hoping he's going to be a guest at our show real soon. But it had nothing to do with Chris, and more, it was just easier to have two hosts as opposed to three people talking over each other. It can get kind of chaotic at times. So Chris blessed us. We love Chris to death. If you haven't checked out Multi-Tank Addictions, definitely check him out. He just put a video out about 3 days ago about why you should build a plywood tank. If you guys don't know, he built, what was it, a 500-gallon one, Kenny, or something like
500, that? I think it's closer to 550 gallons. So,
and he really did a great job documenting day after day after day what it took to actually get that tank up and running.
Don't be afraid, everything gonna be just fine. It's okay.
Number 1, plan ahead. I'm sure you just said duh, but in your plans, did you plan for the size of screws needed and the type of sealant you plan on using?
So definitely check him out. It's really cool. I think it's called Diary of a Fish Keeper, and just some good stuff. So we love you, Chris, and hopefully you'll be on the show real soon. And hopefully,
much love, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So you see, I got the big Doveye behind me. You can't see him behind my fat head, but he's
he keeps peeking around your ear once in a while.
He's got his female in there. There's probably about 100 fry that you can't see at this point, but I love this guy.
That fish is something else.
Yeah, everyone couldn't believe that I kept him and not the Jaguars, but
the other thing is I can see, I know what that fish must be in person. I mean, I know how my fish look on camera. So I already know and got a feel for how big that fish is.
Because I'm in front of the tank, so if I go back, I get smaller. You can see just how big.
Yeah, that's a big fish.
Yeah, love him to death. But, so, Kenny, long time since we talked. How was the ACA, American Cichlid Association Convention?
I got to tell you something, man. I had a blast. I only went to like 3 of the speaker events. I was so busy having so much fun in the lobby, and the fish that were going around. I mean, if you're a cichlid keeper, especially, I mean, it was like la la land. Now, Scott, I'm glad you were out at the time, because I got to tell you, you would have been busting my butt had you known what I came home with from the ACA.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No fish, all plants, and I'm a cichlid keeper. I call myself a cichlid keeper.
Well, part of that was because you flew there, right? It was going to be hard to take fish back?
Yeah, but you know what, dude? I would have carried those fish I would have done things the right way, but there wasn't a lot that I had my mind on. You know how I've been on this Madagascar kick. I mean, by the way, shout out to Chewy. That fish behind me, I come to find out because of the ACA, I got to find out who's the know-all of all that. So they all gave me Cummins' name. And I reached out to him when I got home, and I sent him pics and blah, 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 and he was able to confirm. He says, yes, Kenny, bleaker are extinct in the wild.
Oh, wow.
And what you have, and everybody's saying, colonize, it is what is called a Marilambo, which he says they're equally as hard to find. But that is all 3 of the ones I have. Because of the video I sent him, he was able to see them. He says they're all Marilambo. So
now I got to call you out for a minute, because I watched your top 100 fish. Great job, by the way. But I could not believe that was not your number 1 fish. I think it was.
I'm going to let you in a little secret. It was each of ours top 50, Scott. And Kenny, I actually got burned because I forgot to let the lady go first. Had I let her go first, that fish would have been the number one.
Okay, I get it now. That makes more sense.
So
you saw 3 speakers. They were pretty good.
I saw Pam Chin, Lawrence Kent, and who was the last one?
Pam Chin, love her to death.
Yeah, I mean, my whole brain is just, I mean, it was just an amazing weekend as a whole. I went to the Babes in the Cichlid auction, or excuse me, Babes in the Cichlid Hobbies auction. That was amazing. Blast of a time. I got to meet Fishy Biz down there, Danny Weshy, Carrie from Science Gal, Lawrence Kent, Gary Lang, Rusty Wessel. I mean, dude, the list goes on and on. Cunningham from Cunningham Cichlids. I met them all, dude, you know.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was just a great time. And I had an amazing, like I said, I can't get over it. And then I'm sure, have you heard of what's going on in Kentucky?
Yeah, they're putting the live bear and the Cichlid Association all together in one big convention.
4, buddy.
4.
It's going to be the American Cichlid Association, the American Live Bearers Association, the American Killie Association, and the, I don't know, this one you guys might have to do, I don't know the name, but it's basically the Rainbow Association.
Wow.
All under one roof for one weekend, right? They haven't even opened the hotel reservations yet. And we found out, because we want to get on this ground floor, I found out that's where you want to be, you know. But to make a long story short, they have most of these events just basically get one or 2 floors, sometimes 3 floors, right? Mm-hmm. They've got the whole hotel booked. The entire weekend is going to be nothing but fish. Every person you're sitting in front of is going to be a fish person, dude. I mean, can you feel the energy I'm feeling? I mean, this is going to be the event of all events to be at.
And I'm sure it's going to include a tour to Rusty Wessel's fish house.
Yes. Anybody that shows up Wednesday, Rusty has invited whoever is there in town Wednesday to his home for a barbecue and a tour of his fish house.
So
I'll go just for that, Scott. You know what I mean?
If you're a fish nerd like us, that's like going to Disney World for free. It's going to be. The
only thing I'm going to say is, you better start saving now, folks, because you're going to want to spend some money at this auction. Trust me.
And Kentucky's not that far from me, so I can see driving that one and bringing totes and bringing a lot of big fish back. So I'm going to have to start getting tanks back in this fish room, it looks like. And now, while we're on that subject, you have a fish event you're putting together right now, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm putting together an event for the Greater Portland Aquarium Society. The event's going to be called Fishtoberfest, and I've already secured 5 speakers. I got Jason with Redfish Bluefish. I got Alex with A History Living in Your Aquarium. Nice. I got Dan's from Dan's Fish. Wow. I got Lucas Bretz. And then I got Lawrence Kent are all going to be speaking that. Wow. 1-day event. And then for sponsors, we got Aquatic Arts, Kay's Aquarium, which is a local fish store. We got Jason and Dan both sponsored the event too, Redfish, Bluefish, and Dan's Fish. And then these really cool aquascaping couple that opened a store down in Eugene. Their specialty, they do these amazing aquascape tanks. I mean, they're just, I personally wouldn't see the need in aquascape. And you and I both know if I aquascape this tank behind me, it's going to last a day and it's all going to be up at the top and all that. But my wife,
absolutely.
Yeah, Danny is like, she is into the nano shrimpy shrimps and the, beautiful. So I do get exposed to those tanks. I just got to go, next room, and then I'm in another area that's her domain, But I will admit, Scott, she's kind of working on them planted tanks. I'm telling you, so much less maintenance, so much more benefit to the fish. I wish I could figure out some kind of plant that I could put with these fish that I, just to get that benefit from them. But
that's awesome. So while we're talking about your event, I'm going to plug the Keystone class. That's happening September 24th through the 26th, 3-day event, 4 speakers, and a huge auction, and of course, a big fish show. In fact, it's the biggest fish show in the country. This year is going to be even bigger. I'm actually thinking about entering my Chancho just to give him one more shot of getting one more trophy. He's got like 12, and I'd like him to get one more. But I tell you, everybody that comes to that show brings their best, so it's not an easy competition, that's for sure. So I'm going to put out, we're talking about my Chancho, I'm going to plug my video. I just put it out today at 12. It's doing fairly well. One of my new things I'm trying to do now that I'm back doing videos is try not to worry about views, try not to worry about subscribers and stuff like that. Just put out content that I like, so hopefully you guys will check out my Chancho. It is one of my favorite Amphilophus species, and I give you 5 reasons why you should pick that Chancho instead of any other species. So get a time, check that out. You want to go into questions, because I have so many questions that I've uploaded that
Do it, man. Let's go.
All right. World McCree, I have a 54-gallon corner tank. How many total fish can I comfortably put in there from the list? This is from my 55-gallon top 5 fish. For example, you said get a pair of grimotas, as in just 2 grimotas and that's it? Or can other fish, also be added in that tank? So I'm going to tell you, grimotas are called mini dovies. And they're called mini dovies because they're just as aggressive as a dovie would be. So I couldn't imagine you having anything other in the tank, in a 55-gallon tank, than those grimotas. Not even ditherfish. Maybe a pleco would be all right in there, but it'd have to be like a really rugged, large pleco, because these grimotas are highly aggressive, and a 55-gallon tank, 4 foot long, is not going to give them a ton of space where they're going to feel like they're not, taking over the territory and everything in there. So what do you think, Kenny?
I think a common pleco is probably going to be his best tank bait.
I agree. So, all right, I hope that answers that question. Let's go to question. And guys, Fish Heads has always been a video program, but feel free to just listen to it as you're cleaning tanks, driving down the street. It's kind of like a podcast as well. So listen to the questions, hear our answers, leave comments below if you have different thoughts as well. Can you read that one, Kenny?
Yep, says green tear grow to 12 to 13 inches or bigger. The biggest green tear can be up to 8 inches. Well, I don't know, Scott. I got this one right here. It's hard to tell on the thing, but if you not me, I mean, I got big old hands.
So in my video, I said green tears can get to 12 or 13 inches, and this person is saying that's impossible. They only get to 8, and I can tell you firsthand, I've seen plenty of green tears 12 inches or larger.
Mine, I was just going to say, mine's got to be close to 8, 8.5 already.
Right. So anybody watching this show, if you have a green tear that's gotten over 12 inches or larger, please leave comments below certifying that I was correct, that they do get that large.
Yeah, mine's big, man.
That's what she said. Anyway.
Oh, I miss you, Scott.
AMX1, dude, one request. After the pandemic is gone and we could tour the world again, why don't you go to Andy Wood's place and take his fish photos and videos pro shot? And all the best for your future endeavor, my man. Oh, my God. If I could go to Andy Wood's house, I would love to go there. I love Andy Woods.
The only problem I see, Andy Woods is going to have a hard time getting you out.
You got that right, because everyone says I have great looking cichlids. His are immaculate. I mean, he's not the biggest YouTuber as far as subscribers, but he's the #1 channel I watch every time. Whenever he drops a video, he's the first one I watch. I love his video.
And the way he narrates is awesome. I mean, the average, if you're a beginner to an expert. You're going to love his content. He just brings it to you in a way you've never seen before, and he shoots it to you straight. There is no filtration on what he's saying. I mean, he's just what Andy says is what you're getting, and that's what I love about the guy.
Hello, YouTube. I love that.
that.
Let's check the next one. You might have to read this one. Can you even see that?
Yeah, I got it. Hello, Scott. I have a question I hope you can help with. I had a pair of juvenile Parachromus Lazelli. I hope I didn't butcher that stuff. About 4 to 5 inches in a 75-gallon bow front. I just sold my 55-gallon long, which was 5 feet, and had juvenile Severums, Tiger Oscar, 2 types of Geophagus, electric blue Acars, Fire Mouse, Green Tears, Jack Dempsey, again, all juveniles, no more than 6 inches. I moved them all into the 75-gallon with the Parachromus. I can till my 180-gallon arrives in 2 weeks. My question is they have all been okay with no problem so far. When the 180 arrives on the 19th, would you keep the pair of Loselii back in the 75 or move them to the 180 with the rest? Is there no issues to keep the 75 as a backup plan? What would your expert opinion be?
So since they're asking me personally, if you really want to have a successful breed, like you want them to really breed and have fry, I will either pair in the 75 and take everything else and put them in the 180 whenever that 180 gets in there. I mean, if you really want a 100% chance of getting Lazelli fry, leave them in their own tank. The 75 should be good for them based on the inches and size you told me, and then put everything else in that other tank because it's hard enough for them to breed, much less than having to defend against all the other fish that you have in that tank. In fact, I'm surprised they're all in there in that 75 doing all right as it is. What are your thoughts, Kenny?
I would have to agree. I was hearing everything going into the from the 55 there. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of temperaments right there.
Right.
I hope it makes. I mean, my initial thought, Scott, is I hope it makes it to 2 weeks without death. Because I mean, those, yeah, dude, that could be ugly.
Yeah, it sure can. All right, next question. Trimax versus Flowerhorn controversy. Thomas Delago, where can I get a Trimax? Not sure where you're located, but what I can tell you is that Tangled Up in Cichlids, my buddy Kevin has some, and he will ship to you. Also, there's a place called Cichlids of the America that my friend Chris Biggs knows the owner very well. They have a great reputation. So those 2 places I know will sell and ship Trimax. Kenny, do you know anyone? What about Wet Spot? I know you know.
I have not seen Trimax out this way, Scott, to be truthful.
Wow, really?
You don't see Trimax out this way very often. So I'm sure if I wanted to get one back in, Steve would do it for me. I'm sure he can get them, but I think the 2 you named off are probably the more equipped for that type of.
Right.
Because you don't see a lot of the Dovi out this way either. So
really. So what do you see most of in your area? Like African cichlids or?
African cichlid is a dominant part, and then the manageable size, bigger. Red devils, your Oscars, that type of thing. You do see the Starry Nights quite a bit out this way. Different sorts of Severums. I do have these, but these were a home breeder. I mean, I love those guys. I don't think I had these when you and I were filming for little black devils.
Okay. All right. Next question, guys. We got several more. We're going to try to keep this under an hour. We're right at 30 minutes now. Jay Mason. Wait, sir, did you say 24 inches, question mark? So they get way bigger than Red Devils and Oscar combined. Almost have mine in a tank with African cichlids, convicts, Oscars, Red Devil, Jack Dempsey, Texas cichlids in a rainbow shark, and he's doing fine so far. Everyone has attitude here too. So he's talking about a video I did on the Parachromus dovi, and that's quite the combination. And I just have to say it might be working now, but what's that?
My first question is, he didn't say what size tank it was. I'd like to know that too.
Did he? 24 inches. Yeah, he did not. He did not. Well, let me tell you, if that's what's in his tank, you better hope it's like a 300-gallon tank.
He's still probably going to have an issue.
Because once that Doveye realizes he's a Doveye, it's a wrap, buddy. It's a wrap. So that sounded like a fish shopping spree where you just go down and you're like, I want this one, I want that one, I want that one. And no one told the person, hey, these probably aren't going to be
the only fish I see left standing in that tank that might still be with the Doveyes, maybe the Oscars. Only because of their size. The Red Devil might be okay. Yeah. Convicts are tough once they get size to them, but I mean, even then, because of the mere size they get, they're going to be prey for that Doveye. I just pray to God he tells us he's at least got like you said, a 240 to a 300-gallon minimum.
Yeah.
For all that attitude.
Jay Mason. So when you see this, Jay, let us know what size tank and how those guys are still doing. James Chang. Hi, I currently have 2 arowanas, a batik, and blue base, and would like to put in my 100-inch tank. Age difference around 4 months, both still young. Is it possible? And we decided that the 100-inch tank is like a 9-foot tank, which is, this is a 7-foot behind me, so that's 2 extra feet. And you know I had 2 arowanas in this tank for almost
a long time.
A long time. Until I rehomed them to someone else. So I think it's possible. You know, I was very lucky when I was able to put my 2 arowanas together in this tank. Neither one of them were ultra aggressive, so it worked. Now that it's, you know, and Kenny knows this is what else I do. Fish are fish. They're all different. So you might be lucky and make it work, and you might not. And one of them's just overly aggressive, and it's not going to work. So my best suggestion is put them both together, cut the lights off, hang around, see how it goes. And if there's not a whole lot of thrashing and water splashing, you might have a pair that can work together. Turn the lights back on. Again, spend at least an hour watching them to see what happens. And make sure, God help you, make sure you have bricks or stones or some sort of weight on top of your lids. Because if they do get into something, they're going to be splashing and jumping. And the arowana is called the jumping something. Jumping, I can't remember, but jumping's a large part of the arowana. They will jump out of water to get their food. So a lot of times people don't lose arowana to age. They lose them because they jump out of the tanks, quite honestly.
And they got to punch when they're going up. I mean, they will kick a lid off.
Yeah. All right. So next question: how to make a local tropical fish club? Stephen Soares. This maybe you can help with this one, Kenny. Do you have to be a nonprofit to start a club?
I think if you were to put it as a regular club, then you would have to pay taxes on all the money that the club's receiving. That's part of becoming a nonprofit. When the donations are given to you, you're allowed to use that to benefit the fish club and to help other members of that club. So that the main reason you want to become a nonprofit is for the tax purposes. If you guys at the end of the year have 12 to 15 grand in your account, they're going to consider that $12,000 to $15,000 profit.
Yeah.
So, which, by the way, as a nonprofit, you don't want to have those kind of balances anyway. But I would recommend looking into your state, becoming a nonprofit, and doing the little extra work, because in the end, it helps. Plus, you know, when you get the donations and everything else, because your people will donate tanks to you and whatever. I do believe when you do it the other way as well, you're going to have to take inventory of all that stuff you get all the time. So I would first off check with your local tax man, find out the ins and outs and benefits and cons of both sides. But my personal opinion, I would say I would want to be a nonprofit. But
yeah,
I am the president of Greater Portland Aquarium Society. I can tell you that we have worked many years to get to what we're doing with the Fishtoberfest. And like I said, I think starting as a nonprofit is the way to go.
I agree with you 100%. Obviously, you guys know I created a club in York, Pennsylvania that's doing really well. I will tell you, it took us 3 years to get our nonprofit license. First year, we were just beginning. We didn't even charge any fees as far as club membership. Everything was free. The second year, we started putting rules in and legislation. and stuff to protect the club and to protect people, coming to the club and running the club. So it wasn't until year 3 that we raised enough money to actually get nonprofit, because you actually have to pay for that. And that's why it took so long. I do know clubs that are running today that aren't nonprofit, that will probably be nonprofit at some point. I know a couple of clubs that have been going for over 20 years are not nonprofit, but will be soon. So you can definitely start a club not being nonprofit, but as Kenny said, great advice. Tax purposes wise, you want to be nonprofit. I know other vendors are more likely to send you product and work with your club if you're nonprofit. That's a big.
That's huge.
Well.
That is a big. I mean, we do an annual plant sale, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, to give you an idea, that plant sale generally gives us our running budget for the remainder of the year. And so you understand, if you're doing a club too, you need to make sure when you are doing the club, once you start showing out of the red and you have money available, you make sure you dump that back into your club by bringing good speakers in for your members. Also, that's going to help expand your club more. You have to have that speaker flow to keep things flowing. So
absolutely. I know some of that stuff because not only did I start a club, but I used to work for ZoomEd. ZoomEd had a program with the ACA where ZoomEd would give clubs $200, $300 to cover travel costs for speakers, but the club had to be nonprofit. We had to have proof that they were nonprofit. So there's a lot of good things, positive things that happen once you become nonprofit.
Well, I learned something new tonight. I didn't know you worked for ZoomEd, man.
I work as, how do you say it? I was a partner for American Sickle Association and ZoomEd, and my responsibility was to reach out to clubs and provide that service to them. So,
nice.
Yeah, great stuff when I was working at American Sickle Association. All right, next question. Reagan D. Guys, I was wondering if I can keep a male Jaguar and an Oscar in a 150-gallon tank together. Any advice is welcome. Kenny?
It might work for a little bit. I mean, a very little bit, but ending game, I think you're going to lose the Oscar down the road. The Jags, I very rarely, I've got a Jag in here right now, but she's a female, and whoever had her stunning her, and that's the only reason I have her. Normally, Jags will destroy any tank mates, to include their mate if you don't watch them. I mean,
right. So
the only
go ahead,
with 150 gallon, you at least have some space. Again, you have a little bit of space for them to get away from each other. End game, when they're both full size, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. So you have a Jaguar Sickle that's a Central American. You have an Oscar that's a South American. That's already kind of, we'll see how it goes. 150's a decent sized tank. If you get them in young enough, they might work out. I mean, I had a Jaguar with a white cichlid, and those two worked out somehow. It was crazy, but it worked out. But
yeah, because the Pikes are very underestimated for their aggression as well. Pike cichlid can hang with just about everything.
You got that right. So you decorate it right. You give them enough where they feel like they have their own territory. It might work. But I would have a backup tank, like you said, Kenny. So the moment that Jaguar realizes it's really the badass that it is, you could take them out, put them in another tank, or at least take the Oscar out. But
if you guys were trying, what Scott meant by the structure is make sure you have lots tallness, so you have lots of break of sight points.
Yep.
That'll at least get the aggression calming back down. If they can just get out of sight of each other, that it does work actually quite well.
Perfect reasoning there. Let's see. My top 555. What did that say?
Shawshank Picard.
Can you read that out?
Yeah, I sure can. Can I put one Firemouth, one Jack Dempsey, one Green Terror, and two Oscar Fish in a 3.25 foot tank by 1.5 by 1.5? Will there be any, I'm trying to keep it together, compatibility issues if they're all male? Yes. Yes. there's going to be a lot of compatibility issues. For one, right off the bat, I can tell you a 3.5 foot tank is not going to be big enough when all those guys get to their max size.
What is that, like a 29 or a 30 gallon?
That is very, very little tank. I personally wouldn't put a single Oscar in that tank. That's just my opinion. And again, we're not trying. When you ask us a question, first off, one thing you have to understand about both Scott and I, we're very direct in our answers. Hope we don't offend you, but that's just the way we are. It's the way we're built. So what I'm going to say is one fish I would keep. Either they choose between the Oscars. You might get away with 2 of them for maybe until they're about 2 to 3 inches. And I would instantly go ahead and get them at least 100 gallon. And but all the other mess you're talking at the same, no Jack Dempsey, no, the fire mouse can get along, but like I said, I think you're starting off right off the bat. You're going to have issues in a very short time.
So I'm so thankful that you said what you said, because we don't mean to offend anyone.
Right.
And because Kenny and I have been in the hobby so long, when we see stuff, we have a natural reaction to it, knowing that, oh, hell no, this is not going to work. With that said, I would suggest you keep watching my channel and Kenny's channel, and maybe get involved with your local club so you can get a little more information about how big these guys get and what size tanks you should use. I always suggest, and Kenny does as well, if you can get the biggest tank possible, get the biggest tank possible so you have more options. But a 3 foot long tank, that's not in any situation. I don't think any of those fish, unless it's one, firemouth by itself, is going to succeed or have a good life in that tank. And as true hobbyists, we want to make sure our fish all have great lives. We're doing the best we can to provide them the best possible home. And I can tell you that combination and that size tank is not going to be good. So hope you didn't take any offense to that. We appreciate the question, and keep tuning in, and hopefully you will learn some stuff as you watch Fish Heads and Daniken Aquatics and King Queen Cichlids. All right, we're almost done with the questions. James Caras, is there a way to keep multiple American cichlids in a 55-gallon tank without the fish killing each other? I'm sorry to keep laughing. Maybe overcrowding like African cichlids. You want to start with that one, Kenny? You want me to read it? You got it.
I got it. If you're going to keep African cichlids, the first question I would have, and again, I hate to keep asking you questions, but again, I want to give you the best answer possible. Now, if you're keeping African Mabunas, a 55 can work. I'm going to recommend at most, probably, if you're keeping like Aratus or Mabuna type species, I would limit it down to maybe 15 or so.
Hey, Kenny, time out. I think he's asking about Americans. Let me read it one more time.
Oh, he did say American cichlid.
Is there a way to keep multiple American cichlids in a 55 tank without the fish killing each other, maybe overcrowding like African cichlids?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did misunderstand.
No, that's fine.
No, that's not going to work. I have, to give you guys an idea, look at the tank behind me. I mean, again, the camera doesn't make you guys understand how massive stuff is. These are two 135 side by side, okay?
Yep.
In the tank behind me, I have 2 Oscars, 2 Viejas, a Moda, a Neat, and a Paratilapia Marilambo. To make a long story short, I've got larger cichlids and what have you, and I think I have a total of 12 fish in that tank.
Wow.
On the tank here, same thing. It's Severums. There's about 12 bigger species of fish in this tank, and that's it. I'm not going any bigger, and I know down the road, I'm probably going to have to get these guys a pair of 300s to make me feel good about what I'm keeping them in.
Absolutely.
But a 55, first off, you're not going to give it. There's a few South Americans and Central American fish you can keep that are smaller, but Oscars and all that stuff aren't going to like a 55 for long, man.
Absolutely right. There's nothing more I need to say. You knocked it right on the head. Yeah. I agree. Next question. I can't read that. I got out of the hobby 5 years ago and came across your videos earlier this year. I've watched every video on your channel and have decided to go back into the hobby. Good for you, because of you, man. Your passion, knowledge for the hobby really radiates throughout your channel. Much love. I look forward to each video you put out. So I really appreciate that.
Can I get an amen?
Amen. That's some of the comments that really got me back into the hobby.
Before you go clicking on Mr. Modest, the man said you just got him back into the hobby. Did you hear that part, Scott?
Yeah. Why do you say that? Castino Valley Cichlids? Is that right?
Castillo, yeah, he's a cool dude. I like that guy.
Hey, Scott, good to see you. Any chance of dropping in on the class this September? Would love to chat big cichlids with you. Yes. I plan to be there.
Hold on, Scott. Bring your arm over here. Let me twist it a little bit.
I plan to be there Saturday, and if I get my chancho in that show, I'll probably be there all 3 days. I will tell you, Sunday is their auction, and if you want to get some great fish, this auction is one of the best. I mean, are you having an auction at your show that you're putting together?
Ours is actually going to be swap format, so there'll actually be home breeders there with beautiful rare fish.
Now, I love that because auctions are great, but then if there's fish that you want, you have to wait for them to be brought up unless you bump them, and you have to pay a fee to get them bumped up. Swapping, you can just go from table to table, and if you see something you want, you can buy it on the spot. So I like swaps better than I like auctions. You might be able to get better prices with the auctions depending on what people want. Sometimes you can get a fish really cheap in the auction because no one's bidding on them. But I love swaps and the ability to be able to go right up to a table, get what you want, and then head on out if that's what you're planning.
And the thing about a swap, too, people will put what they're thinking they should get, but they'll certainly listen to offers. So you're welcome to still say, hey, can I get these for this? Yep. Nothing changes. You still can, negotiate and do the game. So what we did to format ours, we're going to be doing raffle tickets, too. And then there's going to be a bunch of donation type stuff and whatnot at the end that everybody should have a chance to go away with something. We're going to do raffle tickets. So.
Yeah, that's a great point you brought up. You can wheel and deal at the swap table, especially if you buy multiple fish. Buyers are more likely to work with you and give you a deal.
You buy multiple fish, or it's getting close to the closing time. They're thinking, man, I don't want to have to drag all this home.
Yep. Brandon Watson, hey man, love your videos. Question: could I keep a pair of Dovi in a 210 that's 7 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot? Kenny,
I would say yes.
I would agree with you. 7 foot long, it's perfect. It's a shorter tank, 2 foot by 2 foot, but honestly, fish care more about being able to swim this way and that way as opposed to up and down. So
the only thing I would be sure is you have a clay pot or something for that female to get away from him when she needs to. But 7 feet is perfect when they're not getting along because it gives her reaction time when she sees them coming. She can. So I think that would be perfect.
That's a man who knows what he's talking about. I don't have anything further to add to that because Kenny nailed it perfectly. I agree 100%. Next, another Dovi spawn, Shane Stover. Hey, Scott, I'm in State College, PA area. Could you recommend any place in PA to get some cichlids? I used to keep green terrors, Oscars, and etc. So
that's all you, baby.
Yeah. So the store to go, and we are very spoiled here in Pennsylvania, is that fish place. It has been called one of the largest pet stores in the world, and it has a great stock of fish. Every time I'm there, there's cichlids, there's tetras, and they can order stuff for you. So that fish place in Lancaster, PA, is perfect. And then of course, I keep repping Tangled Up with Cichlids. Tangled Up with Cichlids is just outside Pennsylvania, and if you're into South and Central American cichlids, like sounds like you are, that's the place to go to. With Tangled Up with Cichlids, you got to call ahead and set up a appointment to come to his property to check out the fish, but he's definitely has the best, in my opinion, has some of the best cichlids out there. I mean, he gets wild caught fish and brings them to the States and then sells them. So next question, and then it's the last question. And I can't read that. This one's on you, Kenny. I'm sorry.
I'm now proud owner of a young 6-inch male Dovie and some 2 to 3 inch Jaguars. You really turned me on to them. Any suggestions or maybe introducing a female Dovie? They'll eventually be in a 200-gallon or larger. The Jaguars probably in a 150 to 180. Okay, right off the bat, he's talking good because you heard what he said, Scott. he's separate them. So right off the bat, I like his idea.
Me too.
And he's giving them lots of space, which he should be able to breed them out good with that.
So as far as introducing the female, I mean, Kenny said it before. I'll say it too. Try to make sure, and Kenny said it earlier today, make sure there's places for the female to hide. As long as you put something in there for the female to hide, she should be all right. But don't take your eyes off of it, because the Dovie could knock over something, or the decoration that you're using for her to hide, he could move it. So just keep your eye on it. Make sure they're compatible, but lots of hiding places. It's all yours, Kenny.
Right. And what do we mean by a hiding place? It's got to be small enough for just her to go in and the male can't follow, is what I wanted to be. I didn't clarify that earlier, but I think you're on the right step. You already got a game plan for when they get bigger. You got 2 very well equipped, very good sized tanks. So, I mean, they're going to grow up in a beautiful home. And like Scott said, lots of hides for the females. I think you'll have a awesome couple of pair of fish there.
Yep. The other thing that I've seen work, that I've seen people do, is to put the crates, like the dividers, and then a very small hole for the female so she can go back and forth when she wants to, but it's too small for the male to get through. So dividers are another great thing to use to help.
Matter of fact, the gentleman we talked about earlier tonight, Andy Woods, I think that's the method he uses, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. I'm glad you brought him out. Definitely shout out Andy Woods. We love, you and I both are huge fans of his. Definitely check out his videos if you like what I do, if you like what Danny Aquatics, Kenny does. Definitely check out Andy Woods. He and I are both very influenced by Andy Woods. So check him out. I'm sure I'll put a link by the time I edit this.
That's why I have a black nasty in my house, baby. Andy Woods, hiatus.
Yep. Guess what, Kenny? An hour is over and all the questions are done.
Wow. And just like the last time, baby, this thing just goes bam, 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 and it's over.
But it's fun answering all these questions, isn't it?
I love it. Just feels good being back talking fish.
So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Even if it's through a podcast, you're just listening to it. Hopefully it's good information. You're enjoying it. Please leave questions that you have for Kenny and I on this video down below in the comments section, and we will read them. We will announce your name and read them and answer them to the best of our ability. So, Kenny, what can we expect from you in the future? You got a live stream coming up this weekend, Sunday?
Yep. Every Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, we stream. Danny and I do quite a bit of videos throughout the week. We've been a little backed off the last couple weeks because we just came off a 100-day run. But, and we have a total of 72 tanks. So you never know what you're going to get on our channel. We both keep a broad range of fish. So,
yep. Great channel. I am going to do a video on these discus. Everyone's been asking about it, and I'm excited about doing it. I really have gotten some really cool camera shots, you know, where it looks like it's actually out in the wild. So I can't wait to upload that, have you guys check it out. These discus are spectacular, and they're getting big quick. Like they're not slow growers, at least the ones I have. They're
weird, Scott. They'll shoot up real quick, right? And then once they get to about like this, then it takes them a little longer.
Oh, does it really?
Well, at least my experience with mine. They'll shoot up. They'll shoot up till they get about 2 inches in diameter to 3, and then it slows down.
See, something I learned today. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you. I appreciate you letting me come back, starting fish heads up, and we'll keep this rolling, guys. I promise you, next Fish Heads, we're going to have a guest. I think we worked out perfect this way because we've been gone for so long. There's a lot of questions and stuff we needed to answer, and this was the perfect way to do it. So next week we'll have a guest, special guest, and you never know who it might be.
Bring him.
All
Bring them
right.
on.
Kenny, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. Great
All
to be
right.
back, baby.
I'll see you guys next week. Peace.